Family, how's it going? It is Kyle Anderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I hope that you are off to an amazing Sunday. It is Sunday, November 23rd. You're probably watching some NFL. Thank you for carving out some time for me today to talk some college football playoff rankings. And as you can see on the screen, we do have the latest college football rankings. Now, these are the coaches poll rankings, and the AP will be dropping in a few minutes. They'll probably be the same. I would imagine they're very close last week, so we'll kind of look at a glance at the coaches poll. I'll point some things out. On this particular show, we will talk more college football. Of course, we'll talk Alabama as well, but we'll kind of blend the two as we are getting closer to college football playoff time. Yesterday, Alabama defeats Eastern Illinois by a score of 56-0. But they do stay at the same spot. Really, it's the same exact poll as last week, right? And while these are the coaches poll, the official college football playoff rankings will be released this coming Tuesday night, as they always are. And Tuesday is a big day because you do also have Alabama basketball taking on Gonzaga. You're talking about another monster matchup for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So we will cover that, of course, on Monday, Tuesday, and this week, what to expect, because I know it is Thanksgiving week. The show will go on. I mean, this is a pivotal week for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and they still control their own destiny. We will talk about that today on the show. We'll kind of go through a lot of different conferences to see kind of where we're doing. So thank you very much for everybody being inside the broadcast. Thank you so much. And I appreciate, again, all the well wishes yesterday on the birthday. So thank you so much. Looking at the coaches poll real quick, we have Ohio State at 11-0. We have Indiana at 11-0. We have Texas A&M 11-0 as well. We have Georgia at 10-1, Oregon 10-1 after beating USC yesterday. That was probably one of the bigger games that took place. You have Ole Miss at 10-1, Texas Tech at 10-1, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Alabama all at 9-2. On the other side, kind of your playoff bubble teams, I guess you could call them. You have BYU beat Cincinnati last night by a score of 10. I forget what the score was, but BYU is 10-1. I think it was a two-score game. Cincinnati also had some bad field goal, issues. My goodness, if there was a worse field goal kicker than Connor Talty, maybe the guy from Cincinnati was it. Vanderbilt now 9-2. You have Miami at 9-2. That's going to be interesting to see what happens to Miami. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. And then Utah at 9-2 and Michigan at 9-2 as well, getting ready to take on Ohio State. Right. So here's a look, fam. All right. At the college football playoff percentages by ESPN. And this is fresh. This is this morning. Everything on the show is fresh. All right. It's just like the fresh baked bread. Ohio State, clearly that top row is locked, right? Pretty much locked to make the playoffs. Then you get in kind of that middle row. You have to take one of the group of five, so it's really either James Madison or North Texas as you kind of look to the right. You got Ole Miss, who I think, you got to beat Mississippi State, and they'd be a lock if they're going to beat that game. Or would they? Because I have a question coming up inside the end of the show, and it's about Ole Miss. And kind of just be thinking about this right now. If Ole Miss can you imagine what's going to go down if Ole Miss, if they finish out 11-1 by beating Mississippi State, and then Lane Kiffin decides to take another job, right? There's going to be some sort of announcement Saturday. What a circus this has been, right? And let's say players decide to follow Lane Kiffin. Let's say some coaches decide to follow Lane Kiffin, and he's not coaching in the playoffs. I was going to talk about this on the back of the show, but do you think that Ole Miss will be penalized and potentially, not make the playoffs? Can you imagine? This could be seriously a landmark case in college football. A lot has to do with the timing of the calendar. Notre Dame's another team. They are very close to finishing out their regular season. All they got to do is beat Stanford, and they were finished 10-2, and they don't even have a conference championship game, right? You have Alabama. Everybody knows what's at stake in that game. You can't really talk about, playoff placement unless you win that actual game. Right now, I think the line is at 3.5, right? BYU, if they're able to take care of business this coming week, they have an opportunity to play Texas Tech. So let's kind of go conference by conference because there's a lot to dive into from a conference standpoint, all right? And thank you everybody for kicking it with me today. I see Max Tooney. I say thanks for everything. Broderick, Debbie Hampson. We see Patriot Life. We got the whole crew up in here. We got Young C Gamer. We got Cole. We got we got everybody. And I noticed today is one of those the usernames are a little bit strange. I don't know why. This seems to happen every once in a while, but I don't really, to put too much stock on it. They usually get fixed, every once in a while. So don't freak out if your username isn't what it usually is. Ooh, DK Metcalf is down. That's not good. So just kind of a refresher before we start this, okay? Because we're going to talk a lot about scenarios and what could be on this show. Here's a look at the college football playoff bracket. So this was Tuesday, and this will be updated again Tuesday. You have Tulane at number 12. You have them taking on Texas Tech at the 5 spot. You have Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Miami, Ole Miss, Alabama traveling in this scenario to play Oregon. You have Georgia, Ohio State, A&M, and Indiana. You can read just like I can. But this coming weekend of college football is about to be crazy, like absolutely crazy. This coming week is get ready. Because Friday, Saturday, we are about to go ballistic in terms of what could happen. There's a lot of scenarios that I think will happen, but let's go conference by conference so we make sure we understand from a fan perspective what is happening, all right? So we will start off in the Big Ten. And these are the upcoming games for the Big Ten. Now, the teams that are highlighted in red, and you got to check out this site. It's called B-Ball or Nothing. It's where everybody is getting their information from right now. I will put the link to their site in the comments box. You can go to their site, and you can play with all the different scenarios, and it punches out all of the outcomes from games won, games lost. It's really amazing, all right? So in this particular situation, let's look at the Big Ten. Now, the teams that are highlighted in red are the teams that are projected to win games, right? So, actually, I guess I must have been playing with this a little bit because I have Michigan beating Ohio State. But obviously, we know that Michigan State is the favorite in that game. And when you look to the Big Ten, it's pretty easy to understand what's happening in the Big Ten. And Indiana and Ohio State are on a collision course. So, if Ohio State beats Michigan, right, and Indiana beats Purdue, they clearly play in the Big Ten championship game. With that said, if Michigan is somehow able to beat Ohio State, it would then be Indiana playing Oregon. Now, you're like, well, Ohio State's going to roll Michigan, right? Well, you look to the history of this game, this is crazy. Michigan has won the last 4 games against Ohio State. Is there anybody inside the comment box that thinks that Michigan wins this game again? Because if you were to ask me, I'm just like, Ohio State wins this game running away. But we've thought that for probably, the last couple of years. When these two teams play, it seems kind of like almost what happens between Alabama and Georgia. But look at this. I mean, Michigan has literally won the last 4 games. So these two teams play. What's the line on this game, by the way? And the only way that Ohio State doesn't play in the Big Ten championship game is if they lose this game, okay? So we have Michael inside the comment box that thinks that Michigan can pull it off. I'm with Jarvis, though. Anything in these rivalry games, as you know, we're about to go into a rivalry game with Alabama, but I just don't see it happening this year. So never say never. I just feel that you have Ohio State and Indiana. So let's put that as our Big Ten championship game, right? So in the ACC, it's pretty confusing. So I went through this many different times, and I'm really curious to see what the playoff committee does with the ACC, okay? So if SMU wins and Miami wins and Virginia wins, the outcome for the ACC looks like this. And that should happen, you got to think. Like, I don't think Cal beats SMU. I don't think Pitt beats Miami, although, Pitt came up with the big win against Georgia Tech. I think Miami wins that game, okay? And I think Virginia beats Virginia Tech. So if those 3 victories happen, then the ACC looks like this. SMU and Virginia. What is interesting about this particular situation is that if let's say SMU wins, okay? Well, what the hell happens with Miami? So do you see what I'm saying? Let's say SMU beats Virginia. You have to take SMU. You have to take SMU. Okay, well, what about Miami, who's 10-2, who's already kind of in the playoff predictions right now? So my question in the ACC is, does the ACC get 2 teams in? For Miami to get into the ACC championship game, it's challenging. They need Cal to beat SMU, and they need for Wake Forest to beat Duke. I don't think that's going to happen. They need each of those to happen, right? So I don't know, fam. Like, I think the ACC will just get 1 team in. But I mean, no, we'll talk about this on the back end because I have the bubble teams. But Miami has a head-to-head win over Notre Dame, which appears to be meaningless to the playoff committee. So, man, I don't know what they're going to do. I'm with you, Jarvis. I think they only get 1 in, and I think Miami might get kicked out, which would be crazy because Notre Dame seems like a lock, right? We'll talk some Bama, of course, on the back end. Let me just run through a couple of these scenarios. The Big 12, I mean, it's pretty much straightforward. You have Texas Tech and BYU on a collision course. Now, those 2 teams played earlier this year with Texas Tech winning. I would imagine that if BYU beats Central Florida and Tech beats West Virginia, right, this is your outcome. BYU has only lost 1 game this season. To me, I've watched BYU play twice, okay? Like, fully watched. I watched them last night. I was not impressed with BYU at all. Like, I get it. I have a lot to say about the first half of the way that Alabama played against even Eastern Illinois, right? I wasn't impressed with BYU. I'm not. I'm not. And there's a good chance that BYU finishes the season with a record of 11-2 because their current record is, I think it's 10-1. So if they win 1 more game, they'd be 11-1. They lose in the Big 12, they'd be 11-2. That's a bubble team. And what I'm scared about with BYU, and I'll get to this in a second, is that the committee's like, well, they only lost to Texas Tech twice. Those are better losses than Alabama, right? So I'll touch on that in a second. Now, the SEC is really straightforward. It's really straightforward. It really is. So if these highlighted teams win, which I would imagine they do, Tennessee and Vanderbilt, I think that's going to be one hell of a game. I think maybe Vanderbilt will win that game. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But if Texas A&M beats Texas and Bama beats Auburn, then it comes out to A&M and Alabama playing in the SEC title game, okay? Remember, Alabama has a head-to-head over Georgia. I guess head-to-head matters for conference, but it doesn't for the playoffs, right? Because if I'm Miami, I'm screaming up and down that I beat Notre Dame head-to-head and we finished with the same schedule, with the same record. Like, how does that still drives me crazy. Now, if Alabama beats Auburn and A&M loses, then it's Alabama and Georgia, okay? Now, we all know this. If Alabama loses, they're done, and the championship will be between Georgia and A&M if A&M's able to beat Texas. So, win, and you're in the SEC title game, right? Now, here's kind of a map of the locks, who's solid, you know, who you have to take, win, and you're in bubble teams. So the lock is definitely Ohio State, Indiana, A&M. Those teams are in regardless, right? UGA, Texas Tech, Notre Dame, I would imagine that even Notre Dame, they seem like they keep solidifying their position. I know. They don't even play a damn conference schedule, but I think they beat Stanford and they're in. And plus, they're earning style points. Hey, Jay Suave, what's up, bro? Good to see you. Dano, good morning to you. DeChamp, 420, what's up, dog? Herman, Mike, and Austin, what's up, bro? Good to see you guys. You have to take the ACC champ regardless. Like, that's a rule. You have to take a group of 5. That's a rule. Winning, you're in Ole Miss, Oregon, Oklahoma, and Alabama. The bubble teams are far on the right. BYU has a head-to-head win over Utah, Miami, Vanderbilt, Texas. Right? So that's kind of at a glance. Now, what I personally think will happen, I honestly think it shakes out like this. I think Ohio State beats Michigan, and they finish out 12-0, and they play Indiana, who also finishes out 12-0. I think that Texas A&M loses to Texas. I do. I've been calling Texas, kind of on the fraud alert. I think being that game's in Austin, and who the hell knows? I don't know. I'm taking Texas. Now, does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? Not really, just in terms of who's making the SEC title game. But I'll take Texas in some sort of weird victory, okay? And even with that, I still don't think Texas will make the playoffs. Georgia, I have them beating Tech. I have Oregon beating Washington. I have Ole Miss beating Mississippi State. I have Texas Tech beating West Virginia. I have Oklahoma beating LSU. I have Notre Dame beating Stanford. And I have Bama beating Auburn, okay? So the Big Ten championship, I have Ohio State and Indiana. For the SEC championship, I have Bama taking on Georgia. For the ACC championship, I have SMU taking Virginia. And for the Big 12 title game, I have Tech and BYU, okay? So I had some, let me see where I had this. Because I had a chart that I wanted to bring up to you guys. Maybe I scrolled over it. I'm not sure. But I can do it off the top of my head. So one of the things that I'm worried about, and I would love feedback from you guys on this, okay? So what we're doing right now is we're talking if Alabama reaches the SEC title game and they lose, okay? Let's say they're 10-3. And let's say BYU loses or wins their the Big 12 title game and they finish out 12-1. I would imagine that 2 teams from the Big 12 make it, right? And I would imagine that Notre Dame makes it. So I am wondering, and just like I asked you inside the comment box for today's poll, is who gets in the playoffs if BYU 11-2, Miami 10-2, and Notre Dame 10-2? Everybody has Notre Dame. And the crazy thing is, you all know that Miami beat Notre Dame. And even the playoff committee chair didn't even recognize that the other night, last Tuesday. Like, I was appalled that he didn't know that, okay? So I think the only way if Bama loses the SEC title game, the one team that I would really watch for is BYU if BYU is able to beat Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game. But I think that if Bama finishes out 10-3, they might use the data points that they've kind of came up with, like lack of run game or the loss to Florida State. But I would argue heavily that that is the strongest conference in the country. I would argue about Alabama's key wins. I would argue about Alabama's incredible defense, right? So 10-3, I think ESPN still gives Alabama a 60% chance with a 10-3 record. But look, I would say, I know it's terrifying to play all these SEC teams. But even if they play Texas A&M, I'd love chances for Alabama to take on Texas A&M. But we have to figure out what's going on with Alabama from an offensive standpoint. So there's kind of, the ranking portion of the show. And one more time, I'll run over the rankings if y'all didn't see it. Remember, these are coaches' poll. The updated Tuesday poll comes out Tuesday night, right? And we'll have a live show for that. Ohio State, Indiana, it's literally the exact same as last week. And I would really appreciate if the Colts give Jonathan Taylor a touchdown. All right. So now I want to talk about I want to talk about Alabama Auburn real quick, and I want to talk about some hot topics that are out there. Okay. And I want to address those, and I want to get feedback. And one thing about my show, and I think that so there's 3 things that I want to talk about. The hot topics with Bama, the Ole Miss situation, and Auburn. Okay. We'll talk about the hot topics for Alabama right now. One of the things that I want you to know inside the comment box, regardless of like my takes, I respect your takes as well. Okay. I want to understand from like a different perspective how you guys are seeing things. My way is not 100% right. I may have a good point every now and then, but you guys have good points too. Like, that's why I always read the comment box. Like, I'll give you a great example. I was like, damn, I'm so mad about Ryan Grubb being down on the sideline, right? And I was like, it makes no sense. It's frustrating. I think that signals that there's issues with the offense. And then somebody inside the comment box was like, yo, I think they said on the TV broadcast that since they're playing a lot of young players, that Ryan Grubb wants to talk to them face to face. And I was like, damn, great point. Like that makes total sense to me. So when I talk about Ty, Connor, the Auburn game, whatever it is, just know that I appreciate your opinions as well, right? Like I'm not going to be like dead set on like, this is how it is, right? And I promise you, if we meet in real life, we'll be friends. I promise you. All right, so right now, the hot topic is clearly Ty Simpson. That's like the elephant in the room, okay? Let's just talk about it, okay? And I have to ask you, inside the comment box, and people are asking it, is Ty Simpson right now regressing? Yes or no inside the comment box. I think what regressing means to me is like, is he not playing as well as he was playing earlier in the year? And so if we go off that simple metric and you add in the metric of the turnovers, then yeah, he is going the opposite way. As I always say, you're only getting better or worse. He's going the opposite way. Now, I think a majority of people would probably say yes, right? So then the next question is, well, damn, if he's regressing or, if he's maybe in a slump or whatever it is, how do you get him out of that? Ty was the guy who said you're remembered for what you did in November. And damn, November's been bumpy for him. And he's right, man. You are remembered for what you did in November. And look, you guys know I'm a huge Ty guy. Okay? But I have to also be honest with, the stats. I look at the stats against Oklahoma. 326 yards passing. One costly interception, right? One costly fumble. He threw 2 interceptions against Eastern Illinois. The second interception, I'm not mad about. I thought that's more of a dumb call by the offense. I would have just sat on the ball and took it into halftime. Well, why do we need a Hail Mary pass, right? That Hail Mary pass that turned into an interception that only hurts Ty Simpson overall, right? The other interception, Ty, I don't think he saw that. Was it inside linebacker or safety who was in the middle? And also, that guy had like a 40-inch vertical jump. So, look, 8 turnovers in the last 5 games is not championship-level football. So then you could point the finger to the offensive line. And like A33 inside the comment box. Did you guys see this? And be honest with me. Did you see that there was a point in time, at least in my opinion, in the second quarter, it seemed to me like Alabama's offensive line a couple times was being challenged by Eastern Illinois. Like so much so that Ty kind of, he almost got hit. He had to move around, extend the play a little bit. He got hit on his legs, which I didn't like. Did anybody notice this? The offensive line, it did seem like they were getting challenged by Eastern Illinois, at least on that series. Maybe not the whole game, but at least on that series. And I think it was on the left side. So when I look to the offensive line, I see that, I bring that up. Now, I know what you're thinking inside the comment box, right? You might be thinking this, and there's probably some people thinking this. They're like, well, if he's really regressing and all this stuff and, he's going through, a slump, and considering you just saw the other quarterbacks perform, is it time for another quarterback to get opportunities? Is it? Yes or no? I would say no, okay? I think that right now you have to ride out with the quarterback who has the most experience. I think that the committee that would raise like alarms that something's really going on with Alabama. Not that the other quarterbacks aren't capable. It's just I don't think they have the experience yet to play in a game of this magnitude. Now, with that said, if Ty Simpson comes out and he's on the absolute struggle bus, and the struggle bus to me is like a pick six and another interception in the first half, you have a serious talk and you're like, yo, the season's on the line. Our careers could be on the line, DeBoer. Like here at Bama, let's make a call. And Saban had to do that at one point too. Right? So I think you ride out Ty. I think it's the right thing to do. I think he's still capable to win this game against Auburn. I think he's still capable to win this game, in the SEC. But you got to figure out how to get him out of this slump. What we saw from the other quarterbacks, I liked it. When Austin Mack came in the second half, the offense was cooking. Keelan Russell, it's easy to like what he brings to the table. But I don't think I'm ready to completely jump off the Ty Simpson ship, right? I mean, this is who we got at this point of the year. And I know it makes people uncomfortable when you start talking about quarterback situations and people start picking sides, and it gets ugly, right? Especially around Thanksgiving. So, but turnovers kill you, okay? And so you got to protect Ty, and that comes down to the running backs as well. Look, the running backs ran for 7 touchdowns total. Austin Mack had 1. They had 8 rushing touchdowns. But if these guys can't block either, and you can't play a fast running back if you can't pass protect, right? So that's a hot topic. Tide will rise, says loyalty will cost you sometimes. I think we saw a lot of that last year. And, another thing is we kind of saw Coach Kalen DeBoer last year. He rode out his quarterback until the very end, right? How many times were we thinking, maybe it's time to see Ty. Maybe it's time to see a backup. We never saw it. Never. The dude never even played against Michigan in the pouring rain in that game. I thought for sure, you would see Ty Simpson in that Michigan game, and they did it. He rode Jalen Milroe until the end of time. So that's a hot topic. I get it. The last thing before I move to my next point on Connor Talty is, can you guys please help me understand this? Why are there no explosive plays on this team? There's literally no explosives. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to write this down. You guys like to write this down too. But why is there no offensive explosive? An explosive play to me, and I feel against a team like Eastern Illinois, you should be having explosive play after explosive. Yeah, it should be 60-yard run, 80-yard pass. Wan'Dale Robinson, my goodness, he just got tagged. I hope he's not hurt because he's on my fantasy team. Get up. You know what I'm saying? Why is there no big, 70-yard run by whoever, 65-yard catch? This is hilarious. Is this true? Cole says, Kyle, there's a guy on TikTok who's kicking field goals in Tuscaloosa until Alabama offers him a spot. You know what? I was on the phone with my brother this morning, and he was like, damn, that Connor Talty, we'll get to Connor Talty next. But he was like, on game day, how far are those field goals? You have a kid off the streets who's kicking a field goal for $500,000. We can't hit a 28-yarder? All right, but going back to the explosives, I'd like to see an explosive play. You're going to need that. I feel we have athletes to make explosive plays. I mean, there was a time when I was covering the team here when there was too many explosive plays to where, Coach, remember when Loxley was driving the Ferrari? It was like he had the Ferrari and he was driving it as fast as the Ferrari went. It was crazy. They had to tell him, slow down. The defense is tired. I'm not asking for that, but damn, let's hit an 80-yard pass, man. What about hitting Ryan Deep on an 80-yard pass? Why doesn't that happen? Jerry Bernard, I love Bernard. I'm not attacking him, but I'm saying it's maybe the third. What's his longest? 30 yards, 33 yards? There's Lazier Brooks. I think we hit him on a 53, right? Explosive against, what was that, LSU? If I remember. But you have no explosive plays with this team. And the other thing is where the hell did all the long sustaining drives go? Right? All right, Connor Talty. Woo! That was hot. All right, so let's just talk about it. Let's air out. You know what this is? This is the airing of grievances. So We're going to just say what's on our mind. We're going to get this all out of our systems. Didn't that happen on Seinfeld when Frank Costanza, George's dad, had like the airing of grievances, and you sit around at the table and you tell everybody how they disappointed you? Before you could eat, right? All right. Yo, Connor Talty. Okay. Let's talk about the stats first. Ooh, Jarvis brought up the gadgetry. You guys know how I feel about the gadgetry. Connor Talty is 11 of 18 this season kicking field goals. 11 of 18. Those are not like made up stats. And you got to give it to Coach Kalen DeBoer. I mean, he continues to defend his players. Yo, he's a real one. People who defend you love you, right? He's defending Connor Talty. He's defended Connor Talty twice in back-to-back weeks, okay? The first time, he didn't discipline it didn't even seem like he was upset that Connor Talty called out a long snapper, right? I was surprised kind of by that response, to be honest. I was like, I'm curious to see what he would say. And I think that's why fans booed him yesterday. I think that fans didn't like that display of sportsmanship or lack of sportsmanship between the two players. I get it. Things are high. These guys want to perform at the highest level like everybody. But I think when Connor Talty went after one of his own, then Alabama, the fans, are going after him for missing a 28-yard field goal. You get what I'm saying? And look, a 28-yard field goal is hard to defend. You miss a 28-yard field goal? Man, that's not it. And that's at home. The last games, the last misses have been at home. We're about to go to Jordan-Hare Stadium. That's a much more challenging environment, I would imagine, to kick a 30-yard field goal. Is there an issue with Connor Talty? Hell yeah. Yes. You know, we could talk about Ty Simpson, this and that. We've seen Ty Simpson perform. We've seen what he's able to do. With Connor Talty, this has been a constant all year long. Constant. We knew that this was going to be an issue from the beginning of the season. We knew that one of the weak spots was the kicking game. I told you that. Everybody told you that. And now that this is all out there and people are talking about Connor Talty, yo, kickers, it lives in their head. Kickers is right here. Just like it's between the goalposts, it's right here in their head. 1,000,000%. This isn't going to be a fix. This is going to be a constant thing, and it puts more pressure on the offense because now you have to get at least to the 10-yard line for, you know, a chip shot, hopefully. Puts way more pressure. Which pressure has more pressure? Which offense has more pressure? Oklahoma's offense or Alabama's? Alabama's. They have to get all the way down the damn field. Oklahoma's kicker's booting them. The Oklahoma's kicker is 6 of 6 from 55. Or from 50 yards. The dude can bang. And he wears booty shorts or whatever he was wearing. Dude can kick. I'll tell you the scary thing about this whole kicking situation. I don't think you have anybody behind him. You have what? How many students are here? 49,000 students? I mean, Alabama's taking literally everybody. You can't tell me they just had walk-on tryouts. Have some guys come out and kick. You know what the scary thing is? Now, you guys laughing at the booty shorts. I'm telling you, man, when that guy came out, I got uncomfortable. And then he just booted it down the pipes, man. You saw that, right? I was like, what's this dude doing? Where's this dude's drawers at? And the scary thing about this whole Connor Talty situation is behind him. When they put in Peter Nataro, he almost missed the PAT. Let me ask you, fam, again. Peter Nataro, would that kick have gone in from 30 yards? Yes or no? The PAT, if you're watching it. Yes or no? I mean, are we going to have to, go to the third string kicker? I don't even know if this is true, but Kay Hendo points it out inside the comment box. Tucker Cornelius. I saw this kid. I saw him at Northridge High School. I think he's a walk-on. At least in high school, I saw this kid hit kicks. I saw with my own eyes. Kicks from 50 out. I don't know. So something needs to go on, because while people might feel that special teams doesn't matter, we're in some deep doo-doo if we don't have that third phase of the game cleaned up. And that's where we're at. Okay? If I'm looking at Alabama right now, I'm like, okay, yeah, run against the SEC team, and these guys are going to struggle from, a 35-yard field goal. They're on the struggle bus. Okay? So that's my take on Connor Talty. I don't know if there's a replacement. I think this is just where we're at. Okay. This Auburn game. All right, this is my next topic. Talking Auburn and the Iron Bowl. The line is down to like 3.5, 4, whatever. It's supposed to be freezing for this game, right? Rondez says, Kyle, you said you're going to be positive. No, I am. I am, I promise you. Just these are hot topics. There's no way to I wish I could sugarcoat some of these things and be like, don't worry, Connor Talty is going to be straight. I promise you. We're giving him opportunities. You get 11 of 18, even Kyle Henderson get a little salty. It's frustrating, man. I'm telling you, the less successful Alabama is in the football season, it even puts more pressure on your boy. Okay? Okay, this Auburn game. 3.5 is going to be cold. This Auburn team, I mean, Coach Saban, I think I have this graphic somewhere. Look at Coach Saban. Is Coach Saban the greatest? Type Y inside the comment box if you think so. He's the greatest ever on game day, too. He's just the greatest. Coach Saban's just the greatest. He said this about the barn. He said this a couple years ago, right? In my opinion, in 17 years going to Auburn, playing at Jordan-Hare, that place is haunted. The way we won games there and lost games there is unbelievable. That's Nick Saban talking about Jordan-Hare that was on College Game Day. Yo, look at the last 4 games at Auburn, fam. The last 4 games. Yo, that watch-along is going to be crazy. Saturday. 2023, need I remind you, 27-24. How many points is that by? 3. 2021, 24-22. That game went into 4 overtimes. 4. How many points is that by? 2. 2019, 48-45. How many points is that? 3. 2017, 26-14. Games over there are crazy. And do you agree with me, or am I just making this up? For those that have watched this game, okay, it seems to me like whoever there's always like a quarterback and a tight end for that team when Alabama goes down there that play out of their mind. Like they're like the best player in college football. It's like, how does this even happen? The guys are like mid all year, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, is this the best quarterback in the SEC? And the one thing that we can count on too is their defense is always good down there. Look, Auburn, I think DJ Durkin is great on defense. They just need to figure out who to get on offense, and hopefully they don't figure it out. Because their offense is always the thing that's, plagued them, in my opinion. And it is comical that they thought that they were going to do better than Gus Malzahn. Maybe he's a better offensive coordinator than he is a head football coach, but ever since they got rid of him, they've gone down, right? I was thinking about Auburn, and then I started, because I watched them multiple times this year. And I would imagine that their quarterback, right, for this game is going to be Ashton Daniels, right? They have a weird quarterback situation going on because they started pretty much Jackson Arnold, and then they started playing Ashton Daniels. And against Vanderbilt, the guy threw for like 330 and 2 touchdowns. He looked really good. He didn't play last week or yesterday because they wanted to save his red shirt. So they played freshman Deuce Knight. Sound off inside the comment box. Who do you think is going to play at quarterback for Auburn? I think it's 100% going to be Ashton Daniels. 100%. So then I kind of dove into like comparative scoring. Like this year, common opponents that Alabama has played and that Auburn has played. And I found it pretty interesting. This Auburn team, they barely won any games this year. But the games that they played in the SEC, look, nobody's blown these guys out. They lost to Oklahoma 24-17. The game was tied 10-10 at halftime. They lost to Georgia 20-10. They were leading at halftime. They were leading Georgia 10-3. They lost to Missouri 23-17. It was 10-7 at half. They lost to Vandy just recently 45-38. That game went into overtime, and it was 20-10 at half. So the most that they have lost in total this year is just by 10 points. So that place is 1,000,000% haunted. But there's been some great points, man. I think it was AJ McCarron was like, I think it was Greg McElroy. He was like, games over there are always, like, there's always so much at stake when you play at Auburn. And I was like, you know what? He's right. I was like, every time you go over there, there's something like tremendously on the line. And now we live in the world of college football where you can lose a game or two and still be in the mix. But in the old college football world, you couldn't lose that game at all. It was pretty much like a playoff game all the time, right? Now we know what's exactly at stake in this particular game. You have to win, period. And I don't think you have to win by a certain margin. You just have to win. Because if you win, you get into the SEC title game. It's that black and white. So we know that they're going to have a good defense. We know that that quarterback is going to be mobile. But if you ask me, you're like, Kyle, like, okay, why do you have any optimism for this game against Auburn? And I've told you a million times, the only game that I get nervous for is this game. Is this game when it's there. When it's over here at Bryant-Denny Stadium, I feel the same way. I'm like, oh, we straight. But when the game is over there, I get nervous. But the one thing that I keep talking to myself about is defense. And Alabama's defense, look, you can talk about, if you're scouting Alabama, I'd be like, okay, their quarterback, he looks like he's slumping. Their running backs, I don't know. They ran for 7 against Eastern Illinois, but they haven't been able to move the ball against anybody else. Okay, they run a lot of gadget plays. They got explosive players at wide receiver, but they don't make explosive plays. Their tight end, it looks like he's out for this game. I haven't heard that officially, but I think people are reporting that Josh Kravis is out. I haven't heard that yet, but I think that might be out there. I'm like, okay, their special teams, all right, they're mid, if that, maybe worse than mid. Their punter's good. Their field goal kicker's not. Their kick returners are dangerous, right? But then I'm like, okay, this defense is a problem, okay? How the hell are we going to move the ball against Alabama? This is the number 1 defense in the SEC, okay? This is a top 10 defense in the country. They allow, I get it, Eastern Illinois, it was like me and 10 of you went out there and were the offense. Right? They only had, 34 yards of offense yesterday? That team was terrible. But my point is the Alabama defense has been constantly good since week 2 or 3? And they've gotten better and better and better. They're playing faster and faster and faster. Deontay Lawson playing better. Quay Rusaw, he's back. Yanze Pierre, right? He's been playing. Tim Keenan playing better. Defensive secondary, been playing well. So when I'm like, okay, man, I'm really nervous. I'm like, oh, wait, okay. You got this defense that is now the backbone of Alabama. If you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, do you think, Kyle, we get to, week 14 or whatever? Hey, Kyle, if you get to week 14, who's going to be the backbone of this team? Is it going to be like a player? Is it going to be like a unit? Is it going to be like, who's it going to be? You think it's going to be, on my list, the last person I'd probably ever say is Kane Womack. But Kane Womack and his Alabama defense are the reason that this team still has hope. A lot of hope. Not just hope to get into the playoffs, but a lot of hope because the defense is that good. Okay. So maybe something will change on the offensive side because that's an area that certainly they are slumping. And that's frustrating. All right. It's frustrating. There's too many weapons on the offensive side for this to be sputtering out at this point in time. And I don't know if, I think it was AJ who said, well, they have a lot of film on Ty, or I don't know if Ty's kind of living in his head. Yeah, 5 Adams saying allowed 34 points last game. That's crazy. I don't care who you're playing. That's ridiculous. And more than half of that was on one play, right? Because they had a 17-yard run, right? And then after that, what'd they only get? Under 20 yards the rest of the game? That's insane. So look, the defense, if they have to, hold on for another game, and then you get an extra week to prep for the SEC title game, or I think the SEC title game is the week after, you're straight. I kind of go back to Ty Simpson, though, and I'm like, look, like maybe this guy might be micromanaging himself. I get it. As an A-type, you can do that. You kind of just need to say F it sometimes and just go out and play your game. Just be like, look, next play mentality. I don't care. I'm not going to micromanage myself. I don't care what the third downs are. I don't care. I'm just going to be myself, and I'm just going to go ball out, period. And I think if he, is able to do that, I think he'll be fine because he does have playmaking ability. Just right now, he's in a slump, right? And you need to be able to get out of it before you get caught up in a jet wash and just sputter out to sea, right? Wasn't that what they got caught in Top Gun? The jet wash? Remember when Maverick, is that what it was? And Maverick and Goose, right? They were underneath and then they got caught in like a jet wash and they couldn't recover. I like that analogy, the jet wash. I just thought of that. All right. I'm going to give you guys a open mic time. If you guys have a question for me or something you'd like to bring out in terms of a grievance, even if you have a grievance against me, let's get it on the table so we can hash it out and that we can move forward. Sometimes when you, hit things head on, it's a lot better. As you know, this video is powered by our friends at Sleeper. All right, you download the app, $20 right upon entry. Get a $100 deposit match up to $100. Use the promo code, which is Tailgate. You can make more or less picks right here on the NFL. And, of course, check out TickPick. All right, download the app. Use the promo code, which is HMA. Concerts, festivals, whatever you want to see. Download the app, TickPick. Check them out. I know there's a lot of you that support TickPick, and I'd appreciate it if you guys take care of our sponsors because they take care of your boy. All right, is there any type of grievances you want to bring up? Is there a question that you have for me? Right? Here's some hot topics on the board. If you missed Wake Up Bama, this is kind of what I ran through. Mike is saying, Kyle, how do you feel about fans booing Talty? Well, look, man, the thing is, how did I think fans were pissed off that Talty was calling out one of his teammates, right? His teammate looked terrified. He didn't even give him eye contact. He ran out, right? So I think fans were kind of protecting that guy and giving him a little bit maybe of his own medicine. Should they have booed him? I feel that fans are paying the players now. You guys are paying the players. These aren't little student athletes that put on their backpack and like go to school and sit down at class. These are guys who have hundreds of thousands of dollars at their disposal, who every single time that Greg Byrne is like, yo, we're broke, we need more money. And you guys are like, all right, here's my wallet. Here, take whatever you need. All right. You're paying these guys. You think Connor Talty, I guarantee you Connor Talty is making coin, even as a kicker. Okay. So is it right to boo your own team? No. But fans are pissed off because they understand the expectations of what it is here. You lose this game on a field goal, you lose this next game, you're going to miss the playoffs for a second consecutive year. And I get it. When the recruits come over here and they hold the trophy, that's half a decade ago. There's been no trophies over here. There's been no, those are trophies from somebody else. So, I mean, fans can do whatever the hell they want because they pay the players' salaries. They pay the players' salaries 100%. This isn't just like a student athlete. Like, this is a professional football player. And I think it shows frustration too. 11-18, that's frustrating. It's almost 50% as your kicker, right? What's up, Josh? There's still kids that get in their feelings this college now. Yeah, but I also think, what's good, Josh? Hope you're doing good on Sunday. And that's kind of the great thing that the players are going to have to manage is like, yo, I'm 18 years old and people are mad at me. Yeah, that's how life works, bro, is you're getting paid a huge salary and you're going to be judged on a performance base. Like, people are going to be happy. I mean, or people are going to be pissed at you. So perform. Right? All right, what else you guys got? Hey, Jimmy Clay, what's up, dog? Good to see you, man. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this week. I'm excited about it. I love this is as dramatic as it gets. This whole week is going to be intense, but you also have Thanksgiving. Kids are home. I'm looking forward. I have my mom in from town. But, yeah, show will go on every single day. We'll cover it. I'm confident that they're able to come up with a win. It's going to be hard as it is every single year. Thanks for everything. What's up, bro? How you doing, man? Good morning. He says, Kyle, not so fun fact. Bama's offense has 7 fumbles lost this season. Ty has 5 of those, correct. Add his 4 interceptions, and he has more turnovers than anyone on the team. He needs to take better care of the ball. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think another stat that I also feel is concerning is the last 8 turnovers, right, are in the last 5 games. Because there was a time where Alabama, I think, was top 5 in the country in turnover margin, right? And now, I think if you were to ask kind of like the casual fan or anybody, they see Ty Simpson as a turnover machine. College football can change like that. Remember Carson Beck from Miami? He was going to like win the Heisman Trophy in like week 6 or whatever? And then he threw, was it 4 interceptions or 5 against Louisville? And he fell off the face of the earth. Man. Let's see. What are y'all cooking for Thanksgiving? Great question. Yeah, so we will do, the traditional, turkey and the sides and all that stuff. But I still want to, one of these times, get like proper collard greens. And like being in the South, it's kind of like disappointing to me that I've been here for this amount of time, and I really never taken it upon myself. But I've never really kind of came across like proper collard greens because I've heard if done right, like they're incredible. So, but mashed potatoes, of course, and even in this is going to be weird, but now that I lived here for 10 years in Tuscaloosa, but when I lived in New Mexico, we put red chili on our mashed potatoes. So if anyone's from that's probably only a New Mexico type thing. And it might sound a little weird, but it's like amazing to me. All right, Kim, what's up? Kim D992 says this. I hate to say this, but we will not beat Auburn. We will not beat anybody. Ty and the offense have regressed. The defense can't keep bailing us out. We are done. I think a lot of people are kind of like living in that space. I feel that there's a lot of people who feel, this is me and my crew yesterday, in case you guys missed it. I led the workout yesterday with all my guys here in Tuscaloosa. But I think there's a lot of people who do feel that type of anxiety. I think after, after watching Bama yesterday, like in the first half, I was disappointed as well. You know what I'm saying? So I feel that same anxiety too, man. Tied on the natty. No, I do. Trust me. I have friends of all different nationalities. Like my boy out here, Alex. He's from originally from Ghana, right? But he's from the UK. So I don't think he doesn't do. I don't think he does like traditional collard greens, right? But I need to find a hookup. There's been people that have reached out. But Kim D, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for the question. Dano says, I have as much confidence in Ty as he has in himself. All right, Cole says this. I agree with Chris from New Jersey said, I think we're going into Auburn and blow them out. You know, it'd be crazy. That would really make everybody happy is you just kind of ran into that game and just blasted them, right? Maybe what if the offense just I didn't even really think about it. What if the offense, what's more likely to happen? Is it more likely that this game is close or that Alabama just beats the brakes off of them? Because I kind of feel like, I don't know if I'm listening to my own stuff too much, but to me, I feel like this game is going to be close. So is it more likely that the game is close or the game is a blowout with Alabama just rolling them? Javion, what's up, dog? Good to see you. Tide has Bama rolling by 21. Ooh, I love that. And Dano's like, it's losing, not losing. Oh, I'm the world's worst speller. So it's terrible. And I do all the editing on the show. Oh, man. So I'm typing all the time. I'm like always paranoid that you guys know. You guys have followed the show long enough. I have typos, misspellings, all sorts of crap. Not often because it's my job to have a good product, but it's life. All right. So that's kind of where we're at, fam. All right. So those are, the main kind of points, kind of the meat of where we're at right now. And this week on, Bama football on YouTube, we'll continue to, have our normal show and it'll be normal things right here on Bama football on YouTube. I guess I'll leave you with this before I bounce out. And let me know inside the comment box. Maybe you need a little bit more time to think about this. I do too. So Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, right? He's about to take, I would assume, a new job, right? Do you think that Lane Kiffin's leaving Ole Miss? Why inside the comment box? No, inside the comment box. And Lane Kiffin, when he leaves, theoretically, if they beat Ole Miss, or they beat Mississippi State, which they should, they'd be 11-1. What if the playoff committee penalizes Ole Miss for not being the same team since they won't have their same coach? I would imagine some players transfer to follow him, maybe some assistants. Can you imagine? What if Ole Miss at 11-1 doesn't make the playoffs? It would kind of be the same thing that happened to Florida State, right? Remember when they didn't have their quarterback? And I guess you're like, should they be penalized? Well, should the team be penalized? Not necessarily, but we want the best 12 teams in, right? Well, you got to take a group of 12, which that's not the best 12, but it's a broken system. But are they the same team? To me, they'd be basically one of these bowl teams that's like, that you turn on TV and you're like, who's playing this bowl game? You have no idea who the players are. Do you see what I'm saying? 2600 says Lane should stay, take a page from Saban. So from my understanding, like what everybody's been reporting is it $90 million for his contract and then $25 million for like cash that he can give out to his players? Man, what do you guys think, LSU or Florida? I'm saying LSU. It seems like it's LSU. I mean, everybody has videos that it's like officially LSU. I think it'd be most shocking. I think for me, it's like LSU stays at Ole Miss, goes to Florida. That's how I think it'll end out. But if this guy has $25 million in cash, because like, how, is he a good recruiter? Yeah, he's a good recruiter. But one thing I think he does really well is he works the transfer portal. He worked the transfer portal amazingly at Ole Miss. And now if he has $25 million, I wonder how much cash that Alabama has. 25 million. They probably, they'll find it and they'll match it. That's a lot of cheddar. So, but that's today's show, fam. So I appreciate you guys for kicking it with me right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I know there's a lot of hot topics. The anxiety is a little bit high because you got this game against Auburn. But if you get in a bad space, just remember that the Alabama defense is ranked number 1 in the SEC, and that the Alabama defense allowed 34 yards total in this last game. And that the Alabama defense has, man, they got cats all over the place that are playing elite. Yo, Deontay Lawson, and they're healthy. They're healthy. Now, something to track before I go. All right, this is the last thing. I'm going to be tracking down if I feel confident in a Josh Cuevas update, I'll bring that to you, but I don't want to be irresponsible and bring you something that isn't 100% true. While I could probably get more clicks on something that, it might be, I'd rather be 100% and go for lower clicks and be 100%. So that's why I'd rather just wait for Coach Kalen DeBoer speaking on Monday to address it in regards to Josh Cuevas. And I think look, if there's a chance for him to play, we'll start to find out closer to Wednesday. But I have already heard people out there saying that, it's broken, this and that. I haven't heard that. I'll track it down. And if I feel confident enough to roll with something, I'll put something out there. But other than that, I'm going to wait for Coach Kalen DeBoer. I feel like that's kind of the responsible thing to do. Cool? So I appreciate you guys for kicking it with me right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I hope if you guys have family coming into town, or if you're going out there, I hope you're safe on the road, and I hope your family is safe. There's no time better than time with family, period. And you start to appreciate that more as you get old like me. So thank you so much, fam, for all your support. News as it happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thanks for kicking it with me. Drop your comments inside the comment box. If you have a question for me, post it. Follow our Facebook channel. And have a beautiful day watching NFL football. You went to church, pray for us, and we'll kick it soon right here on Bama.